Welcome to this week's Coach and Cruz podcast. Cruz, how's the week going? I missed you. It's been a while, and I'm so wired up and fired up because I stopped drinking my Coke Zeros. So
Uh-oh.
So I'm like antsy because I don't have that stuff in me, but I'm feeling good. So this week, what we got, we're talking about some Giants baseball. We're talking about maybe a way that the Giants can pull off getting Paul Skenes from the Pirates, since they don't seem to want him anymore. We're going to talk about high school baseball a little bit, and driving. Cruz and I both have a commute of at least 45 minutes or more, yes, depending on what's going on. And over the course of the last year or so, for me, school year, I've been driving a lot more than I used to, and Cruz does this all the time. So, of course, as we're driving down the road, we're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff and crazy people. So we're going to tell you guys some stories about what we've seen recently, maybe in the past, but crazy times out there because there's some absolute crazy ass drivers on the road. But first of all, you talked about playoffs. Was it last week for your kid? Is that over? What is it, a one game deal? What's going on there?
So we are the 3 seed. Our last game was last Saturday, our last game of the regular season. But because it is Memorial Day, the way they did the scheduling is really funky. We don't play our playoff game until next Thursday. So I don't really know how it's all supposed to work. We have practice last Monday, which we always do. Well, then we can't practice essentially this Monday because it's Memorial Day and people are out of town, stuff like that. So we're going to be kind of going off of like 11 days with no baseball, and then we're going to jump right into a playoff game on Thursday. If you win Thursday, you play Friday. If you win Friday, you play Saturday, championship Saturday. Who knows what it's going to look like? We're doing our team party on Tuesday of this week. That way, once the season is finalized and the last game is over, we can put a bow on it and we can move on. It's been a 16-week. It's a long schedule for us. We don't play all those weeks because of all the spring break and all that kind of stuff. So I think our guys are seeing that the end is coming. I know I kind of feel it. We got a little less than 2 weeks left of school, so it's kind of ending as the school year ends, which is kind of nice. Then I get like a 2-month break of coaching before we start soccer in the fall. So
Please
yeah,
tell
it's been a
me
long.
you don't do
Uh,
like all stars for your age, do you?
no, there's no. And to be honest with you, I don't even know why they even do playoffs per se, because it's kid pitch until they walk them and the coach comes in and pitches. So it's not. I mean, it's real baseball. Yes, we're counting outs, we're keeping score, but I mean, do we really need playoffs? Like,
Right.
what are we going to get? What are we going to get accomplished from all
Well,
this?
you probably get like
So
a little trophy or a medallion when you win the whole deal there, and you get to say you won the whatever 5-year-old champion. I know,
yeah.
championship because that's
So
the biggest moment of their life so far. But hey, one thing we're also going to talk about. I don't know if you see the picture behind me, my boy Alexander Rossi. I'm not a big race car fan at all, but I do watch the Indianapolis 500. So I got a story on Rossi, and that's why he's behind me. So yeah, so we'll talk about all that stuff, but you let me know, Cruz, where you want to begin, because I'm wide open. I'm so free of toxins without having my Coke Zeros in me that I'm just letting you go here. So
yeah, well, I just want to kind of talk about how my travel has been this week. Now, I live in a small town in Hollister. It's kind of a hard place to get in and out of. We have like a bunch of one-lane roads that they frequently do like road construction, so that can kind of affect your commute. Without any traffic, my commute is about 55 minutes, and that commute can go anywhere from 55 minutes to what I'm going to get to right now. Well, anyway, I get a phone call from my friend who knows I'm at work on Thursday afternoon, and he said, "Hey, have you seen the traffic going home yet?" And I go, "Well, not yet because I'm still at work." He goes, "Well, there was our main highway is Highway 25. That takes you directly in. That's like the main road to get into Hollister from Highway 101. And there was a fatality, a head-on collision at 3:30 p.m. on Thursday, and they closed the freeway for 3.5 hours. Which there's a couple different ways we can get into Hollister. There's a road called Fraser Lake, like through Gilroy and stuff like that. But then once the main road is closed, everyone else is using these other roads
Side
to
roads,
get home. Yeah. So I left my work at 6:30 on Thursday, and I got home at 9:15. So, and it was kind of, it's the crappy part about the whole thing is once I get home, I grabbed a burrito on the way home. I essentially ate, I brushed my teeth, and then I woke up the next morning at 6 o'clock and did it all over again yesterday, which doesn't make it any better because yesterday is a 3-day weekend. And so people are leaving town as fast as they humanly can because everybody has Monday off. So yesterday I went from 2 hours and 45 minutes on Thursday to get home. And last night it was 1 hour 45. And you're just kind of sitting at the wheel, like, just please get me home. I'm so tired of being on the road.
Well, we took over spring break. We went down to Pebble Beach, and there was a road coming because it took us down like to 152 or whatever to cut across. And they're doing like
156.
Yeah, they're doing a construction on. I don't know. Maybe I have the wrong road, but people were coming in or going like towards Highway 101 or 5, going towards the 5, and it was a nightmare. It was like a 1-lane road on a Friday. We were going the correct way. I think everybody was coming home, and I'm like, they have to work on that 24/7 because the amount of traffic stuck on like a 1-lane road. I'm thinking we're going to hit that because it was just busy. It was a busy time, but I have to imagine it was busy all the time. And I just think Caltrans, when they do that stuff, it's like, can we think of like the amount of people that are just going to be stuck for hours?
Yeah. You'd like to assume that like they would do it like during the summertime when there's not as many travelers, because I know my travel time goes down during the summer because there's not as many people trying to get to San Jose. But they do road construction in the morning, and it's a 1-lane road each way. But when they're doing construction, they have the guy that stands there with the slow sign on one side and the stop on the other, and they only allow 25 cars to go by, and you have to wait your turn. And then, essentially on Wednesday, this is how this all started so bad. Wednesday, they were doing construction. I had to drive, if our listeners know where Casa de Fruta is, which is nowhere near San Jose. I had to drive to Casa de Fruta, get off the freeway, get back on Highway 152, and then drive around basically the whole city just to get to Gilroy, which then leads me to get into San Jose. So it took me like an hour 45 to start my work week to get to work, and then with the 2 other drives home on Thursday and Friday the last couple of days. So it's been a week, man.
Well, they also aren't doing us any favors by having a specialty gas in California, because I guess our gas needs to be different than every other state. So while everyone's paying like $2 a gallon now, it's over 5. I don't know what it's down there at your spot.
Right, it's right around 5, like 4.80 or something like that.
So I mean, I think I paid $4.95 yesterday, and that was cheap, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't help. But I was telling Amy yesterday about coming home a couple days ago last week on Highway 49. Again, if you're familiar with California, 49's kind of a long, windy stretch, but where I live, it's pretty straight, but it's still very dangerous. But down in Auburn, tons of stoplights, but cruising through the stoplights, there's a guy that it looked like there's a motorcycle underneath a car with a dude still on the motorcycle. And as I drove by, somebody must have gave him like a towel or something, because he's like wiping all the blood off his legs and whatever. And I must have just missed it, but it had the eerie suspicion of the motorcycle trying to cut through everybody. You know how they could just split the lanes.
It scares me to death as a commuter, because it happens to me all the time, and you can't see them and all of a
Yeah.
sudden they're zooming by you in the middle. Like if I was to ever change lanes, there's no
Yes.
way that you can not hit them because they're coming from nowhere and they're going faster than everybody else because everybody's sitting in traffic and they zoom by you. And so I try to do my best to like move over
Yeah.
if I can see them. But there's a lot of times, all the time, almost every day, where a guy will go by me on a motorcycle and I never saw him to begin with. You know,
I feel like those guys, lane splitting's legal, right? But I feel like
yep,
they drive in the middle of the lane. Like
right,
they don't set it up. They don't get behind you, kind of make you see them and then split. It's like they're just going through a lot of them. I'm not pinning all of them on that, but this particular situation, there's like 3 cars and there's just a ton of like head scratching and this dude's on the ground and he looked okay, just looked like he was bleeding. I don't know, but it's just amazing how much stuff you see when you drive a lot, because it's and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, as I saw this guy under, and then I saw like a sheriff or somebody just hit their lights and come around the corner as they're going to the scene. I'm thinking, man, that's daily events, I'm sure, for those guys and the firefighters and whatever, that we don't see the little fender benders, but there's accidents all the time. And you would think there's sometimes there's more, it should be more, because of the crazy stuff that almost happens. I mean, how many times you're like, oh my God, like how did that car not hit that car? And
yeah, we have I always find it very, very interesting when I'm driving, I drop Logan off at school and then I instantly put my work address onto my screen in my truck.
right.
And so I can kind of see where the traffic, and you can, there's traffic in similar areas almost all the time. But then if you see like a random red spot that normally wouldn't be there, like on Thursday morning when I was going to work, and I never understand this. There is a car on fire on 101, but he's going the opposite direction of me.
Oh,
but it causes us traffic because everybody stops and slows down to see the car on fire. If they just would continue travel going northbound on 101, then we could still get there smoothly and efficiently and quickly. But no, everybody has to stop. So it creates traffic essentially for like 2 miles. When all it is a car on fire, they're putting it out, nothing really to see. And so that causes traffic, and that can add another 10 minutes to your commute as you go. And it's just, every day is like a new challenge, basically, once you're on the road.
It's funny too, because you kind of know when, like you're saying, when something's happening. I teach at Granite Bay High School, go Grizzlies, and of course it's a 3-day weekend, and next week's our last week of school, but being Memorial Day, and my commute going home is up Highway 80, which is the wrong way to go. Everyone's going to Tahoe and
Reno and all
that. So I decided to another teacher, had somewhere to be, so I took her last period class, because I don't have a class last period. Sometimes I leave early, or sometimes I leave really early, like right when that last period starts, sometimes halfway, sometimes towards the end. But the big thing you want to do is like get out of there before all the kids leave school, because one, that's a little bit of a jam. If you don't get a chance to leave, then you just basically need to sit around and do something for about 15-20 minutes till that traffic dies out, which I normally do. I just plan that into my deal, because it's no use. Either you're sitting in it or you just wait, and then you can get out.
Right.
But I'm like, what is 80 going to look like? Because normally it's pretty much a straight shot. It's not busy. Up where I live, 80 past Roseville is pretty dead, on normal days, just because, not many people live up this way as a big town of like Roseville area. And sure enough, I'm pulling off like the Bass Pro on Sierra College there, and I'm looking up 80. I'm like, oh, baby. Here we go.
Yep.
Well, it turns out though too, it looked bad. But again, once you get past like Sierra College up this way, I mean, you're pretty much shooting straight up there. There's places to get off, but you're kind of past all the the metering lights and the crate, where a ton of people are getting on. Like if you're
Mhm.
past year of college, you're kind of committing yourself to going, over the hill or
The
whatever.
point that would be the point of no return.
Yeah, for sure. So it does kind of smooth out. Everyone figures it out that if they just all kind of play nice, then we're all going to get there quickly. So you don't have a lot of that cutting across 3 lanes to get to the exit you need to, because you're just going to go. So surprisingly, it wasn't that bad. Plus, when it's a Friday for yourself, even if you sat in a little bit of traffic, you're like, doesn't matter. I got a 3-day weekend too. So Fridays are
Yeah.
never a bad gig. So what else you doing this weekend, Cruz?
Well, I want to tell a funny story about we play. My friend Martine and I, who is one of my
Oh,
golf buddies, we play in a 9-hole. It's like a golf league, and they do it at Ridgemark here in Hollister. It's just every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. We don't play every Tuesday, but we try to get out there as much as we can. And so I get there at 4 o'clock. I grab a beer, and then I go out and get a bucket of balls, and I'm waiting for him to show up. And I noticed on my 7-iron, which is my club I probably hit the most, if you look at the very end of the shaft where the shaft meets like the actual end of it, I
right.
noticed it had like a little bit of a gap, like maybe like the glue or the epoxy was starting to maybe come undone, but it hadn't affected like the actual golf club at all. And so I just continued using it. Well, when you're on a driving range and we're hitting off mats, those mats they tend to be pretty hard. And like if you hit the ground, you could definitely feel it. Well, I'm on the range hitting my golf balls, just trying to get loose. I have my 7-iron in my hand, and I like it's starting to make a little bit of a noise now. I'm like, oh shit, what's going on here? So I'm like, I'm not going to think anything of it. So I fire a ball down on the driving range mat, and I take my next swing, and there goes the head of my 7-iron,
There you
80
go.
yards, 80 yards down the range. And so there's obviously multiple people hitting balls and getting loose. I have to kind of like walk out semi in front of everybody. I'm like, okay, everybody, please, no, please give me give me 25 seconds so I can run my big ass down the fairway, try to find my 7-iron head, right? And I saw it fly down there straight, and I'm like, oh man, this might be hard because it's like dead grass
Yeah.
at this particular range. And so I run out there, everybody stops firing away. So I thought that was all good. I find my 7-iron, I run it back. Well, now I'm looking at like the end of my shaft of my 7-iron to see if like maybe something broke off. I'm hoping that maybe it just came like clean off of
Oh,
there.
right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I don't want to have to replace the shaft or replace the head, or there's a little flange, that little plastic piece that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
connects the two. So it looks like it's all good. So then Thursday morning, I drove all the way from my house. We don't have like a golf store here in Hollister, so I had to go all the way to Golf Galaxy, which is Stevens Creek, which is past my work,
Oh, that's deep.
and yeah, very deep when you're sitting in commuter traffic. But I have to get it dropped off because I want to be able to pick it up the following day on my other day of commuting. So that way my club is
You're
essentially
just there.
back to
Yeah.
normal. Yeah. So I drop it off. The guy's like, no problem. I'll just re-epoxy it. And so then I went and picked it up yesterday. So it hasn't, they always say, I'm not sure if you know this or if you do this, that if people that leave their golf clubs like in your truck all the time,
Oh, no.
I'm not sure if you do or don't.
No, I don't.
They say it's really, especially I don't either, but they say, especially like if you live in warm climates like in Sacramento, or even when sometimes in the summertime when it gets hot, people will just toss their clubs in the trunk of their car. Well, that epoxy or that glue gets heated up, right? Because
Yeah.
as the weather is
Up and
getting warmer,
down. Yeah.
and so so it's essentially heating up and cooling down, which causes that kind of stuff. Now I don't do that. This was just kind of over the course of time. It sort of just happened on its own. I'm thankful that I found the head of my 7-iron. That was a good start. And then I'm also thankful that I didn't have to buy a new shaft or a new flange or a new head to my 7-iron. So they epoxied it. The guy goes, just give it 48 hours, which I'm not playing until Tuesday anyway. And now my 7-iron's all back and ready to go.
Well, the listeners out there, the viewers also want to know: did the ball go farther than your head of your club?
It's funny because every single person who I tell this story to, and I've told this story at least 50 times in the last 3 days, I don't know. because all you feel like you swing the club, you feel the head come off, and then my eyes went
Yeah.
directly to where is this thing going? Not the ball, the head, because I want to be able to find it. I'm assuming that if the head went 80 yards, I think the head went further than the ball. I would tend to agree, but my eyes were so locked in onto where that 7-iron head was that like I said, I didn't want
Yeah.
to replace the whole thing, which aren't, when you buy irons, you buy them in sets, so you can't just buy like a random
Yeah.
tailor-made 7-iron. You have to buy like a
You're-
whole new set essentially.
That's
So
hilarious.
I was thankful that I found my 7-iron head, and I was also thankful that nothing was broken. They were able to re-epoxy, and now I'm back in action. Now I'm very nervous though that next time I go to the range, I'm gonna pull out my 7-iron. I'm gonna hit that thing. I'm so nervous that every time I swing this particular 7-iron, that the head's gonna come flying off of it. So we'll see how that first 7-iron swing looks next Tuesday. I'll have to give you the update on how that turns out. But
So
yeah, it's been a very, very eventful week, man.
it's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
First world problems.
Yeah.
I played the Ridge, I don't know, last weekend. First time I played since I went up to Boise and played a little bit with my boys. I haven't played that much, and had a little knee problem because I've just been exercising, and I just jacked my knee up way more than I think I ever have. I thought something was really, like, I did something to it bad when I was exercising, but it had settled itself down, and I'm on the first tee at the Ridge, and I crushed this drive, which surprised me just because I hadn't played in a while. But sure as shit, it's my left knee. Your left knee, you kind of pivot your hips, and your
Right.
back foot
Mm-hmm.
rotates. Oh my gosh, it felt like I just re-injured it again. Even talking about it, my left knee's hurting. So, I'm going on vacation here in about 3 weeks, and I've got some golf lined up, and I'm sitting there thinking, there's no way. Kind of it's dovetailing off your 7-iron deal, because I hit the other shots, but when you're hitting your irons, maybe you're not swinging as hard, or you probably shouldn't be
Right.
swinging as hard anyway. But every time I drove, now that was a great drive on one, and everything else was off because I wasn't swinging as hard because I thought my knee would be hurting. But it was okay. But I'm a little gun shy
Mm-hmm.
because of, it hurt like a stinging, like end your
It's
round before it starts.
yeah. Well, it's crazy when stuff like that happens, especially since we've gotten older now. These are kind of things that when you're young, you don't even think about, right? I never thought
Mm-hmm.
about like pulling a hamstring or hurting my knee, but it's that one, you take that one swing, and now every time you stand up on the tee and you have your driver in your hand, you're going to get some sort of discomfort in there, and
Well,
it's coming.
it's funny because when you and I, if you remember, we hooked up at the Ridge and played golf over COVID. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Well, of course I do.
And I don't know when I did it. If it was on the first hole. I don't know if you remember. I was hitting every ball like shit, and I hadn't seen you in a while, and I couldn't play like regular golf, and it was something. I had something going on my back. It was like a spasm, and I felt like crap because it was like, here we hadn't seen each other, and then I couldn't even really like play. Not that I'm good, but like just my normal.
Yeah.
Everything. I just remember every shot was, and I hate that because it's like I didn't even feel it till I got to the course. It's kind of like when you hear some of these guys that check out, they're not in the starting lineup and they had like back pain or whatever. It made me think like you're all of a sudden fine, and you sleep wrong. I don't even know what happened, and then a few days later you're fine. The knee thing though, I'm touching my knee right now, and I don't know. It's a weird like patellar thing that you walk enough, you're always moving, so it's not like you could totally rest it, but it's not bad. I just hope maybe I'll take a ton of Advil or something and kind of cool it down, or put some ice.
Yeah, it's just probably like it's inflamed in there. Once that thing gets inflamed and it starts barking at you, it's not going to go away. It's going to continue barking. That's just the way it works.
I think I'm going to end up being one of those guys that wears those little like rings that go around your patellar to kind of,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
To stabilize it.
Yeah, and I bet that would work, but man, that's the definition of old guy trying to still play sports. and that would be me and whatever. I mean, that's where I'm at. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I have the same thing. I obviously I bartend for a living, so I'm on my feet all the time. 8 hours a day, and I have always had like because I'm 6'6", 255 pounds. Like my lower back has always been kind of a thing. It's not terribly bad where it doesn't allow me to run on the treadmill or play golf, but like about 3 or 4 times a year for like a week or two span, it'll be fired up, and I could definitely feel it. And it's like I'm trying to stretch this thing out, and I just look back to when I was younger in my 20s and 30s, and I never ever even thought of these kind of things.
yep.
Now I'm almost 43 years old, and like everything hurts. And once it gets, like you said, once it gets fired up, it's not going to calm down.
Yeah.
You just want everything just to feel okay, so you can play golf. We're not like
Well,
there's this guy that comes in and he wants me to play men's league baseball because he knows I was a baseball player, and I said absolutely not.
yeah,
I run on a treadmill, I lift weights, and I play golf, and that is it. I don't want to play
yeah.
Sunday. I don't want to play Sunday hoops with you. I don't want to play in the over 40 men's league. I just because I have this big fear. Knock on wood. The injury. I think we've talked about this before. The one injury I would do not. I've had tons of injuries, but I do not want the Achilles thing. The
Yes.
Achilles thing.
You just beat me to
I
it.
don't know. Oh my God, I have this biggest fear of blowing out my Achilles. So that's essentially why I stopped playing softball with, the men's league softballs and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to put myself in a greater area in which I could potentially blow that thing out. So it's not going to happen when I'm golfing. It's not going to happen while I'm on the treadmill. So I just like, you know what, this is what my life is. I can coach my kid. I can run around with my kid. I can do all those things. But the Sunday basketball deal and the softball leagues and the men's league baseball, it's not on the plate for me anymore. It's not on the cards, man.
Well, and I know like sometimes there's like teachers versus student like basketball games and all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
And these people are fired up to like get involved with that stuff. And I'm like, hell no. No. Like
No.
in the older days, even then, I wouldn't play because I'd embarrass myself playing just the game. But exactly what you said, all of a sudden, because your competitive juices start going and you want to run up and down the court like you're 25 and your Achilles says no. And
Yeah.
I'm bringing that up because I've seen that happen to teachers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've seen that injury, and they're down and they're out, and they got to have the surgery, and they're in those little push knee cart things, or they're shoving
Oh
themselves
God.
around campus.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do that in my life. I got more things to do, and I would be trapped in the little knee pusher, and you can't move your leg for like 6 months or whatever it is. I'm like, just
Especially
let me.
for me, like I wouldn't be able to. Can you imagine? It's what I
Yeah,
do for a living, and it's fine. I couldn't work. So what would
yeah,
like? So I just, I always when I see, especially when Jason Tatum he just tore his Achilles
yeah,
last 2 weeks ago. You can almost just see it, and I think there was who was it last year? It was Deshaun Watson. I was watching that particular game. I think I was watching the red zone, and when he snapped his, you could see it. Like they
yeah.
showed it. It's like
Like
a
it's
rubber
all up
band.
into the calf and just like,
Yes, it rolls up in there. Oh, and I could totally see myself having that injury and then my life being over for like you
yeah.
said, like you can't put any pressure on it for like 6 months. It's like what would I do then?
Well,
You
and
know?
that's the other part of it is like I have again being a teacher, and kids know I lift, weights and whatever. And what do you bench and what do you this and da da da? And it's like, guys, we're not in the situation of like impressing you with numbers at our age. We are in
Right.
the
How much can you deadlift, coach? How much can you
yeah,
deadlift?
yeah. But how much can I put on there that really is a struggle, but also not gonna absolutely tear my spine into 5 pieces or shred my back muscle or make my Achilles both of them go pop at the same time. So I
Yeah.
mean
I
I
also
still squat. I mean I know guys my age I can't squat anymore. Da, da, da. I'm like no. I'm doing all I want to do that for all that flexibility and all that other stuff
mhm.
you're getting. I'm more flexible. I'm very inflexible, but I'm more flexible now than I've been in a long time just because I put some weight on the bar and try and get stretched with that. It's more of that, you know. And the other part of it, as I lift by myself.
I
So,
do too.
and I like that because I don't want to push myself farther by going, hey, I'm going to put 275 on this bench because I
Hmm.
think I can get it. But then all of a sudden, you know, you tear a pec muscle or something just because you're trying to impress who? Nobody. I mean, so, you know, I make sure, I mean, I feel like I lift a lot for my age weight wise. Uh, by myself though, it's nice to be able to control, like, okay, I know I'm not gonna be able to get this one back up or whatever exercise I'm doing. I make sure that I can come back up in my squat, that I don't tire
Hmm.
myself out. Now you might be missing out on some of that exhaustion because you do want to exhaust yourself to get some value out of it. You don't want to just lift like 10-pound curls, but you know, I'm thinking along the lines of what we're talking about. Like if I go so hard, something's gonna break. So, you know, a bone, a muscle, or something, and I just, like you said, I can't afford to. Well, besides not the working part, is like I just don't want to stop like lifting or
Right.
doing
'Cause,
stuff.
yeah, you got a good thing going. You want to continue that
Yes,
good trend that you got going on. See, I lift by myself too, and I like it because for the same reasons you do. Now, I don't do bench anymore. I just do I do dumbbell bench stuff.
right,
I find myself for that reason though. I'm not like trying to max out on anything. I'm trying to just keep what I have going, and you don't want to feel soft or you
right,
don't like
sure,
lift for a few weeks. So I find myself as I'm getting older, I'm doing more of the machine stuff because A, I'm by myself, and B, I'm not really trying to impress anybody. I think the idea is at this point in my life, I'm lifting weights A to be strong. I want to be strong, and I want to stay young, if you will. But at no point am I, with some of these guys. I work out at Gold's Gym, and some of these guys, I'm just like, I'm not there, bud. I'm just not there. I'm
yeah,
doing stuff what's comfortable for me. I told myself when I turned 40 years old that if I can lift weights and run and stay in decent enough shape that I look okay in clothes, that's my goal. I want to
yeah.
look okay when I'm wearing clothes. That's it. I'm not.
Well,
I'm never going to get to how I was. I was like 9% body fat when I was 22 years old, and we did body fat testing at spring training and all that stuff. Those days are so long gone for me that I'm just
right.
doing it for my health and my well-being. And then I also just because I enjoy lifting and all that kind of stuff, I just want to stay whatever I have currently. I want to stay there, right?
Well, and
So
that's
that's
and
kind of my
that's
deal.
where the Coke Zero thing. I mean, this is going to sound stupid, but it's kind of like it, it's like life story, right? So we're Amy and I are going to Hawaii in 3 weeks from today. In fact, I think I'm on the plane right now, headed to Maui, but we're going to Kauai. But the
Hmm.
first stop is Maui. Anyway, um, I think I feel pretty good as far as my, like you're talking about, you know, the way you feel, you're doing stuff. But I just, and it's not really that bad. You can't see it on the screen or hear it on your speakers, but like, you know, I don't know if it's belly fat or I just have like a little belly, nothing crazy, right?
Yep, I'm
But
with you.
it's like I'm doing some drastic, taking the sugar out, the no Coke Zero stuff, even though it says no. Man, I've stopped it for about a week and you could really see the difference, right? And plus I feel better. Strangely, I read something where you should be drinking fluids that you could see through.
Hmm.
That's right. And so, man, it's tough cutting out. I mean, I've tried to cut out sugar, but the things I mean, like I put ketchup on my eggs still and it's
So
got some
so
sugar in it.
so do I.
But it's not like a candy bar or kids at
Hmm.
my we're winding school down and this girl brings in a box of donuts, not for anybody, but I was like looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, that'd be fun to dive into right now. But so doing that stuff, and I'm truly like on a diet right now. Normally I just try and do stuff to like change, like do it to where food wise where I'm uh changing, like I'm gonna always do it, but like
Hmm.
I'm almost fasting. I wouldn't call it like, I don't know. I'm not really eating in between meals. And then when I eat, I'm not eating a ton. And so I have
Yeah,
this goal.
not overeating. That's so big when it comes
Well,
to
and
eating
it's like,
healthy.
I don't, strangely enough, I'm super hungry, but I don't eat a lot. Or, and again, it's this weird transformation. It's only been maybe not even a week. And the transformation is more of how I'm doing stuff, but I could see it. I feel like I'm trying to just get to that strange, you know, like Hawaii vacation body for whatever reason. I'm not trying to impress anybody, but it's like, I think it's not so much for the Instagram picture as more of like the challenge. Can I do it? Because I'm thinking, right, I feel like I haven't weighed myself. That's another thing that's kind of dumb. I didn't give myself the starting weight of what I was and see how much I dropped. But I'm probably around 200 pounds maybe right now. But like at 5'10", what is a 200 pound or a 5'10" person supposed to weigh? Like a healthy, like the epitome of health. Is it like in the 175 range? I mean, it's down there, is it not?
Oh,
I mean,
it's way down there. It's so like they would
and
like
that's
even when I was playing, when I played, I played at like six. I'm 6'6" and I weighed about 250, right in there. And then if you look at one of those charts, it'll say like, and I was in like excellent shape at the time. We're talking like I'm in my mid 20s. I'm running 25 miles a week. I'm playing professional baseball. And if you look at that stupid body mass index, all those charts they have, like it would say it said like I was like morbidly obese.
yes, right,
You know what I mean? But there's just it's not because we're athletic type people, and our body type is not your normal
right.
Joe Schmo 5'9", 165 pounds. So it's not really. Yes, I don't. I
I
was an athlete. But I still consider myself athletic. So I'm going to be bigger than the average. I'm not going to be 6'6", 195 pounds. It's just not going to
no,
work.
right, right.
So
But that's my thing. And I'm not trying to gauge it off that because of what you've said and what we've said as far as like how you feel.
yeah,
But it's like, man, I mean, you see guys who are super fit, like at my age, and they're kind of ripped, like and it's questionable if they're taking like steroids or whatever, but maybe they just work out so much that they could look like that because it's harder to look that way. And I'm not trying to get there, but I'm like, kind of like, can I try to get there? But I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I feel like I'm doing a lot because currently what I'm doing is I'll lift pretty much an hour a day. And then lately I've been walking slash jog
hmm
as well every day. Now, yesterday I missed my run because I was kind of lazy and tired, and it was a Friday, and I was like, I'd been doing it for like almost 10 days straight. So I'm like, I'll take that time off. But again, what is that doing to me? If I'm not seeing results, I gotta ramp it up a little bit. But I'm also like not eating really, and so I'm like just kind of experimenting with myself to see what I could do. Again, I think what I'm doing, if I would have done it in my 20s, I would already see like
yeah, for
crazy
sure.
results.
I think what will happen too, coach, is you may not even like lose a bunch of weight, which is not even what you're trying to do, but you're going to lose body fat, right? That's the idea. So you're going to like you'll notice, and if you're going to continue doing this, like your clothes are just going to fit a little bit differently. Where it was a
And
little
they're
tighter,
starting to do a
maybe,
little
and
bit.
yeah, you're maybe not going to essentially lose a ton of weight because that's not really what you're trying to do, but it's the actual body fat that you're losing, and that's what's like kind of trimming you up and making
Yeah.
your clothes feel a little bit. I have that. We do a Mexico trip, Gabby and I, when we leave August 1st. And I've been, throughout the spring, I'm pretty healthy all the time. I eat pretty well, but I haven't really been like what you're doing. Well, June 1, I got 60 days. I'm doing like a
Yeah.
60-day
No, we're so much
challenge to
alike.
myself.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
I told
And so,
myself May 1st because June,
mhm,
like mid June. So
right.
like
hmm
a 6 week fit camp or whatever you want to call it for yourself. It's like
Sure.
self motivated,
hmm
but it's like
That's all it
you
is.
talk about like when you're trying to score a certain, shoot a certain score on the golf course and you're working hard on that. It's like kind of like, all right, this is a self goal. And then, post Hawaii, it's like, okay, there's a challenge. Like, what are you looking forward to for
hmm
yourself? body wise. And it's kind of like, okay, in my mind, I'm thinking if I get to a certain look, feel, whatever, it's like, okay, now can I maintain it without necessarily having something to shoot for? So the maintaining is the goal.
Yeah.
And so, and that you have kids and, you're running around and getting a lift in and doing the other stuff it's just tough to I'm at the point where I could pick really any time and do that stuff. So having an excuse to not be that way, as far as working out and looking a certain way, that's on me. So it's fun. It's difficult, but again, I think we've grown up in this, trying to challenge ourselves in athletics and being an athlete. It's like you'd rather be challenged than let everything come easy to you. So, that's where I'm at.
For me, it's a little different because I commute and because I have to start my day at a certain time. But the nice thing about that's the reason why I did June 1st for a couple reasons, but it's because school is out too. So I'm not getting Logan up in the morning. I'm not getting him dressed. I'm not making his lunch. I essentially can get up at 6:30 like I normally would. And instead of doing all those things, I can just go right to the gym because I'm the kind of person that if you ask me, would you rather work out at 6:30 a.m. or 6:30 p.m.? It is not even close. If I don't get it done at 6:30 a.m., I'm sure as hell after I'm working 8 hours and driving an hour each way or more, I'm not in the position where I want to go to the gym when I get home. I'm a go to the gym guy before I eat lunch. That's like my thing. If on my days off, I go to the gym at 10:30. That way I can wake up, I drink coffee, I'll have a banana. I'll kind of let that stuff digest, go through my phone, do the things I need to do. And then at that point, I'm well enough where I can go run on the treadmill and then I kind of can work up that hunger. And then I'll stop after I work out and run, I'll go grab a sandwich. And so it kind of like leads one into the other. It's much more difficult during the school year for me because essentially I have to get up at like 5 a.m. after getting home at 9 o'clock the night before. Right. And so it's doable. Yes. Am I motivated to do that year round? No, I'm not. And so this is why I do it for myself. I'll do like a 60-day cleanse where I'm getting up at my normal time. And instead of dropping my son off at school, I'll go right over to the gym. Even if I get like an hour in, I'm good with that. You know what I mean? And right. So the one thing I was going to tell you that's really helped me, because I used to be a long distance runner as you know, I do these challenges where I try to run 100 miles in a month, blah, 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 blah. What I did, I read I'm always reading different stuff, but what I do is on the treadmill now is I'll run for a period of time, let's just call it like a mile and a half straight, which just takes me like 12 minutes. At that point, I will walk a minute and sprint a minute on and off. And so it just gets my heart rate up and down. And so I feel like that's what has worked for me the best. And then I always finish my run/walk with incline walking. And that's how I'll do, like, that's like my cool down period. So I'm generally on the treadmill for like 40 minutes when I do it. And so I'm kind of pumped to hear that you're doing this because I'm getting ready to do it myself. I'm at the point where I've been kind of lazy. I'm only going to the gym 2 or 3 days a week. I need to be going 4 or 5 days a week. I need to be doing it in the morning, and I need to be doing it almost daily. And then it's kind of nice. Once you're in that, like, when in that arena where you're feeling good and doing those things, your energy level almost goes up because you're almost like looking forward to doing it.
Right.
Where you're not looking for an excuse not to do it. Right. So that's why June 1 is my deal, and I'm doing it for 60 straight days for a lot of reasons, but mainly because we're going on vacation and I don't want to look like a fat ass. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Well, that's the thing. The other part is Amy's like, let's go shop. She wants, I'm not a big like clothes whore or anything. So it's like, I think I need some kind of like maybe a Hawaiian shirt or something to look the part. And I'm worried that I'm going to go buy this shirt that fits me at my current build. And it can go either way. Like if I did something with that next summer, just continue to wear that shirt, is it going to be too big? Is it going to be too small? Right. Like depending on what I do with myself. So, that's again, a big giant first world problem, but it's like, that's part of the reason I just wear the same clothes and stretchy shirts. So you kind of, no matter what you are, you fit into it. And I'm a hoodie guy like you.
I'll tell you what, do you guys have a Nordstrom rack anywhere near you?
Oh yeah.
So I'm a clothes brand sort of whore in a way.
Mhm.
And so because I'm big and I'm tall, certain brands fit better than other brands. Some are
Sure.
not long enough. But anyway, I'm a huge fan. I think this will be very, very good to add to your repertoire for Hawaii. Is I wear Travis Matthew. I'm not obviously
Oh,
the
okay.
golf brand, but they
Yep.
have like printed stuff that would be like I have a bunch.
Yeah.
Um, and they have them so their normal price for a Travis Matthew shirt is like $95, which is outlandish.
Right.
But like Nordstrom Rack has like a whole section of Travis Matthew. They have T-shirts and they have button-ups, what you're going to probably need for Hawaii, and they have them for $53. So, and basically, what you're doing is you're probably getting like last year's stuff, which
You're right.
I could care less
But
if it was
nobody
made
cares.
last
Yeah.
year or this year. And I have like 15 to 20 Travis Matthew shirts, and then they fit well, they breathe well, they're good quality. And if you have a Nordstrom Rack, I would definitely venture out and go check it out before you go to Hawaii. I think you'll like what you see.
Yeah. No, I'm looking around and you kind of do a search on your phone. And when you do some kind of search for whatever, then all these other ones pop up, right? Your phone starts algorithming
Mm-hmm.
you to death with whatever. So there's kind of some cool things out there for kind of summer type shirts and whatever your clothes. So we might be going, but we're also going to
Mm-hmm.
probably go check out the new Mission Impossible movie tonight. So not a big movie goer. I mean, I kind of used to be, but movies kind of died out. But and I'm not like strangely a Tom Cruise fan. I just think the Mission Impossible series has always been awesome. So we're
Oh,
gonna check
it's a
that
good one
out,
for sure.
and then maybe I don't know pre movie go look around. But my thing with clothes is it's strange, right? You kind of like certain brands and gotta have a certain look. Man, I immediately go to the 50% off or more, and some of the stuff on there just absolutely looks like shit. And especially for workout clothes, I don't
Mm-hmm.
care. It's like there I bought a pair of shorts to work out in, and the right hand pocket was like sewn like shut.
Sewn shut.
So it was like a $7 pair of shorts or whatever because it was like defective or whatever. I'm right there, and I just rip it open because I don't care that they're
Right.
$7 and I'm only going to wear them to work out. So I hit those things, and then I found a pair of like Greg Norman. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
Greg
Oh yeah.
Norman, the shark, right? The
Shark.
colorful
Yep.
shark.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
We were on some rack at Macy's. I forget what they have, like way in the deep in the bowels of this Macy's had like all this, some of the stuff on there was hideous. And we were about to leave. Amy was trying on something. I looked at everything on every rack while I'm waiting. I look and I see a pair of pants, like golf pants that look like maybe they'd be something, right? And then I'm like, oh, they're not, because it's one pair, right?
Right.
Not
Right.
going to be my size, not going to, and all of a sudden I pull them off the rack. I'm like, oh, they're like $85 pair and they're like $22.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
like, I try them on. I'm like, look at this. I mean, they like fit like they were made for
For you.
exactly for me. So I'm like, all right, and that's the kind of stuff. It's like as you get older, you don't care to go to like a garage sale and find some gems. That's
Right.
kind of like with clothes. That absolutely will buy some things that are, name brand or whatever to kind of, if you're going out or whatever. But like my normal fit is whatever's there, and I don't care if it costs $5 and people laugh. I'm old, I could care less. So hey, let's talk a little bit down the stretch here. Giants baseball, and their pitching is still on fire, and they can't hit, but they're getting just enough, right? Like last night, I'm like, here we go again. And then what was it? The Nationals walked like 5 guys in one
Mm-hmm.
inning. And
Mm-hmm.
the Giants they got the 5 walks and got like 2 runs that inning. They could have had like 10 runs that inning. But luckily they took the victory. So, they gotta, like you said, they gotta win the weeks. Just keep winning the weeks. The Padres were scuffing, right? Did they
Big
catch up
time.
to those guys?
Oh,
or
they're
is it?
past them.
Oh,
They lost like 5 in a row, and then they ended up winning last night. But
right.
yeah, they are scuffling. We're a game back of the Dodgers, maybe, or something like that. We're hanging in there. We talked about last week on the pod. Like we swept the A's, and then we ended up losing 2 out of 3 to the Royals. But if you sweep the one before, you still won 4 out of 6 at home, which is great. Now we're on the start of this road trip. If we can continue this trend, we're going to be right in the mix, man. And I think you're going to see us be buyers at this trade deadline come up on July 31st.
Yeah, that's and that kind of leads into the Paul Skenes idea. Is it a guy like him? Do you need more pitching? I mean, you always need more pitching. That's kind of a dumb question. I know that, but is he's going to demand, like you're saying, a huge amount of money at some point, and but do you go get him in a free agency expecting them to sign him whenever that is? I don't know. I don't know if he's not a free agent, so it's like you'd have to trade for him, and
Mm-hmm.
you'd probably have to give up like 3 or 4 of like your best players, like high guys. Do you do that? I don't know enough about baseball in general of like, yeah, I mean, you gotta, that's a all in, that's all your chips, right? If you're giving up your Eskridges and your other like top stud players to the Pirates, but they got to be looking at it like, hey, we got this, we're going to shop this guy around. And if you give us like 6 of your best players, that could make those guys get on our major league roster quicker and make us better. We're giving up this awesome one guy, but we might get 6. I mean, is that worth it to you?
For me, in the Giants case, because I don't feel like the pitching is like our issue. Like our pitching is
Right.
fine. So I would rather see us not mortgage our future by giving up the guys that you're talking about, and you might have to give up guys like Elliot Ramos, guys that are in the big leagues that are young and they're impact guys already for us. I think there's going to be a list of players that we're going to need to add to our roster that potentially could be hitters more than pitchers, in my opinion. Now, I think somebody will do the Paul Skenes thing because you're getting like a cornerstone, once in a lifetime talent type of pitcher. But if our pitching was the issue, I would say, hey, let's go throw our names out there and let's see what we'd have to give up to get him. But in our position, I think pitching is our strong suit. I think it's what's keeping us in games, as you just talked about. We don't score a ton of runs. Then, if we score 9 runs in one game, you better believe we're going to win the next game 2-1, or we're going to lose 2-1. That's just how it is. I would much rather see us go out in the market and see guys that can potentially help us in the short term, like in the next 2 or 3 years, hitters, than going, mortgaging all of our prospects to get this once in a lifetime talented pitcher who is a really, really good pitcher. But like I said, we got the guys at the start of our rotation, like Logan Webb, and these guys are pretty consistent already. Birdsong, you're going to see, he had his first start the other day. He pitched really well. You're going to probably see him stay in the rotation for the short term, especially. So I think what we're probably going to do is stay what we're doing and then try to add a bat or 2 at the deadline. And I think that's probably the best way for us to go about it.
Who quickly who's out there that people are as a bat, who is possibly somebody that you can go after? I mean, I know it's like the other team has to be willing to give that person up. I just haven't paid attention enough to maybe who's really doing well for a team that's kind of scuffing. That maybe
Well, you'll
want
probably
to,
what you're probably going to see is now that you're like, what are we, like 50 games in almost, I think, or something like that. You're not going to be able to get a bat from a team that's like contending. They're not going to just trade one of their best hitters, but the teams that are scuffling, go look at the Colorado Rockies of the world. I'm not saying
right.
we're going to take somebody off the Colorado Rockies, but the teams that are scuffling towards the bottom, those are the teams that are going to be more willing to give up a bat, a good player that's going to, help. And then maybe you have to trade a prospect or 2. I haven't really looked because it's still sort of early and the teams are kind of finally starting to like spread out when you see the cream of the crop guys, like, the Yankees and the Dodgers and us. So, I mean, I'll have to take a deeper look into it. We talked about last week, I really wanted Pete Alonso. But everybody that's a right-handed hitter is so scared to come play at Oracle Park. And so, it's going to be tough. I think you're going to have to probably get a left-handed bat. And those are the guys that kind of tend to do well at our park. Probably like a corner infielder, left-handed bat, maybe a corner outfielder that can maybe do both. Because you got, like you said, we have Wilmer Flores, who's going to be in the lineup for most days. If he's not DHing, he's going to be playing first base against left-handed pitching. So I'll start to look and see what left-handed bat might be out there for us to go snag. I think it should be a first baseman. I think we need a power-hitting first baseman that hits from the left side. Late night Lamont Wade is not really doing it for me this year. But I think in the other positions, we're doing okay. It's just we need like one or two more thumpers in the middle of our order that we can drive runs in and score more runs. Because if the Giants can put up 5-6 runs a game, we're going to be in this thing for the long haul, man. Pitching and defense, we're there. There's no doubt in my mind. Our bullpen's good. It's the bats. We talk about it all the time. Can we get an extra bat that can help us, propel us to that 9 or 10 game winning streak that you were talking about last week? Which we're going to need to do at some point to stay in this thing.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting, and it's one of those things where as the summer goes on, if they continue what they're doing, then it makes for the exciting finish down the stretch. Hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Indianapolis 500. I know we probably never have talked about racing at all because it's not in our wheelhouse, but Indianapolis 500 is tomorrow. I think it's around a 10 o'clock start, West Coast time. And my dad and I used to watch it. It would be on a lot earlier in the morning. It would start at like 9 o'clock East Coast time, but my dad would get up and watch it religiously. And we were never racing fans, but there's just something about this one, and the pageantry and whatnot. But the guy behind me, Alexander Rossi, he went to the school I used to work at Nevada Union High School. He's from Nevada City. He went there for a little bit and then transferred to a private school. So I don't think he was ever on our campus. But being a local kid, 5 miles away from where I live, it was a big deal. One, that he was in racing. He was almost going to become the first ever like American Formula One driver ever at like 20 years old. And you have to get picked up. There's something to do with like being under contract. He just never could quite get there for whatever reason. So he moved over to IndyCar and did well early. And then 2016 was his rookie year, and he went into the Indianapolis 500, and it was the 100th racing of the Indianapolis 500. I remember watching the race, and he's hanging around, and in like 50 laps left, they basically, the cool part about racing I like is that like you kind of time out your pit stops. So you kind of see like, is this guy going to go? Can he make it? If he's leading at this point of the race and doesn't have to pit, there's a jockeying of all that stuff. And Rossi was like, they were talking about how he had gotten fill up his pit stop and could stay on the course, but they were concerned that he was going to run out of gas. And there was lots of stuff happened, but he ended up, if you listen like the in-car stuff, they would, on certain parts of the course, they told him to like let off the gas so he could like save gas.
Save gas, yeah.
But still was like going fast enough to ward off the people behind him. I don't know how it all works, but they were just talking about how he could possibly, at the certain point, like with a few laps left, his crew was like, you could step on it now. And sure as shit, I'm watching the thing, and it was kind of like watching, Windsor pitch in the College World Series. I was like he was my kid, and I'm staring at the TV screen, and my kids weren't home, and my wife wasn't around. I think she was working at the golf course, and I'm jumping up and down as this looking at the screen, and they're like 2 laps left, and he's hitting the end. Everyone, they're trying to pass each other and all that stuff. And sure enough, he wins the race. 100th, rookie race car driver, 100th Indianapolis 500, a race I've watched since I was a kid. Here's this local kid wins it. And then like halfway around his victory lap, his car runs out of gas. So it's kind of like this awesome moment. And then to add, here's the really cool story. This kid that was in my class, name's Jacob Warwick. Shout out Jacob if you're listening. He's friends with Rossi, and for that month, because they're in Indianapolis for like a month before the race, they prep, and he was with them and documenting things, doing Instagram, just little videos, just here's this rookie race car driver, so no one's really paying attention. Well, here's Jake. Has all back behind the scenes access to everything Rossi's doing. There's a shot of Rossi crossing and I should have picked I might be able to find it on the internet, but of crossing the finish line, winning it, and all the pit crew like jumps off the wall, jumping up and down.
Yeah.
And this kid I just had in one of my video classes at Nevada Union, he's jumping off the wall with him. And I'm like, oh my God. So there's this tie into Rossi being from my hometown, another kid that I had in my class that, I kind of befriended and seeing all this stuff. And he's sending me stuff post race that, nobody else is getting, pictures and videos and stuff. So that whole experience, and obviously I was kind of a fan, just sort of watching as the years went on. But after watching that 2016 race, I'm like, I have to watch every year. And it's one of those weird things too, where I like watch it from the start to finish. Like, if I can, if I'm not, a lot of times I'd be like mowing the lawn or doing some things around the house and I catch, but man, I stop, like, okay, don't talk to me. And it's weird because I would think maybe Indy races are kind of fun to watch in general, all of them, but I don't pay attention at all except for the Indianapolis 500. So it's kind of cool. It's a obviously very traditional race. Rossi, and he's starting in the 12th spot this year, or this I'm gonna get rid of that and bring in this thing. I think he's 12th, right? Like
in the pole position.
In the position, which I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to like where people start and
how that coordinates into where you finish.
Yeah. So let me scroll down and see if I can find where he's. Oh, that's what I need to do. That's what I needed to do in the first place. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, where are you starting? Does that
affect where you finish?
Yeah, and I think it does. There he is at 12 right here. But you've seen people come from way beyond. Obviously, it's better to start at the front just because you don't have all those people in front of you. But it's weird, right? How these races go with accidents, and that's the other thing. Kind of wrapping up the show with cars, as we talked about cars on the front, and the amount of accidents and yellow flags and all that other stuff that make the race, because you could be leading, and if there's an accident, then the guy who was way behind you now gets to
catch back up
and do the restarts, and on the restarts everyone's jockeying for positions, and it's like you never want accidents, you never want people to like get hurt and all that stuff, but man, when those restarts happen, it's just fun. And the announcers, the thing about that too, the announcers are awesome. I mean, I know their names when they say them, but I don't pay attention, but they get so fired up.
Oh, big time.
And it's just like, I love that, because it's like they're just in it and passionate, and it's their sport, and you could tell it's just, it's all that stuff we talk about with just sports in general, just being fired up for what you do. So check out the Indianapolis 500 tomorrow. If you haven't watched it, sit down, check it out, and maybe sit down with your boy and watch a little bit, see if he cares for a second or two before he wants to go out and drive his own little car that you buy him for Christmas. Yeah. So anyway,
I have a customer, really quick. I have a customer that's from Indiana. His parents still live out there, and he's been going to the Indy 500 for like 25 consecutive years. Big sports guy, and he claims, and I'm not going to say he's wrong because I've heard this from a lot of people, that the Indianapolis 500 is the single best sporting event of the year in any sport. And so I'd like to. I'm not going to say it's a bucket list thing for me to do, but if I could go, maybe we can go check out the Indy 500 before we die. And I heard it's an absolute. First of all, it's an absolute party, and just the amount of people, and like you said, how many people are so into this race. How important it is for all these people. You got hundreds of thousands of people watching this race. I'm definitely going to turn it on and check it out, and I'll keep my eye on it for sure.
Yeah, it's like you said, it'd be really cool to go to. Like, I don't think you even know. Like, it's like people that never watch hockey. Like, if you
Right.
haven't seen it live,
Mm-hmm.
you might think, "Oh, hockey's it's boring. I can't see the puck." But when you get in the, and you're watching this dude blaze up and down the ice, it's friggin' awesome. And so again, that's maybe we could, because by the time next week, maybe the Stanley Cup playoff will be set, but maybe we can kind of dive in a little bit of NHL next week. But Kreuz, we're gonna wind it down for the week, and yeah, I'm hoping you get back in the weight room soon and make it happen. I got one more week of school, really, one more day of regular school, then 2 days of finals, but kids and teachers are kind of over it, so we're just gonna kind of cruise into the last week here, and then school's out for the summer, baby.
That's right, man. We have one more week after you guys, so Logan gets out of school June 5th.
There you go.
We got the 3-day weekend this weekend. We're going to Capitolo tomorrow, take him to the beach, get him some lunch, and just kind of enjoy being on the beach. And then I think we're going to go on a hike in Aptos on Monday, and just kind of get outside. And the weather's starting to get good. And
yeah, next week
don't spend it. It's supposed to be hot next week too. So spend your time outside, not inside. That's kind of the way we do. So we're going to go just kind of cruise around, go to the beach tomorrow, go get some fresh air on Monday, grab some good food, and then back to school on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, we'll be recapping and catching up next week. We thank you all for tuning in this week, and check us out on YouTube and on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places you get all that stuff, and subscribe to us so you can watch us do our thing. And we will catch you next week. Take care, Kreuz.
Peace.